Welcome back. In this session, we will pull the annual revenues and profit numbers from the dataset and then create a chart for our dashboard. The chart will show the annual sales and margins by regions and by product category based on the selection. So we'll go back to the working sheet. Let's separate this region. So this is the region for the annual sales and profit numbers table. So we have two options over here to insert the pivot table. We can go back to the data sheet, then go to insert and click on the pivot table, or we can just copy this pivot table, press Ctrl C, and then paste it over here. Each pivot table is connected to an underlying pivot cache, which is connected to the source data. The reason we copied and pasted the pivot table above is so that the Excel can utilize the same pivot cache. We don't have to go back again or refresh the data separately for each of the pivot tables whenever there is a change in data. So now we go to analyze field list. So we get the field list. We'll drop it over here. Now we have the blank pivot table. The name is pivot table 3. We need the annual profits and annual sales. So to get the annual sales, we will click on the order date in the rows and we'll put the sales numbers and the profit numbers in the total values section. So here we have the total sales and total profits on an annualized basis. So this is the yearly data. If we want to break this data by quarter, we have the option. We can further break it into months, but for our dashboard, we just need the annualized numbers. Here is the data which we need. So first, let's format the numbers. So we'll select the numbers, then right click, number format, go to numbers. We don't need the decimal places, use the thousand separator, click OK. So this is the data. Now to create the charts and do the margin calculation, we will link this data separately in the rows. Here we have the years. The year is 2015. Then we can add 1 to 2015 so that the year becomes 2016 and then copy and paste. So it becomes 2017, 18 and 19. So we have the years from 2015 to 2019. Now the second column is the total revenues on an annualized basis. So here we can link it directly to the table. So we have the 2015 revenues, which is 683,000. We can't copy this 683,000 and paste this formula because if we press F2, it shows that the year in the formula is still 2015. So we will use the get pivot data function. So press F2 and then for years, you can select the year and then replace it with the cell. So H16. Now press enter. And now if we copy this and then we paste to the below cells, and Control V, we get the updated data. So this is how we can pull the data automatically with the pivot table. Suppose we want the annual sales for 2019 first, and then for the other years, 2018, 2017, etc. Get pivot data function basically helps update the numbers dynamically. So this is the reason we pull the data 17, 18, and 19. Similarly, we will have the profit numbers in separate column. Again, we will link it to the pivot table and then use the same technique, get pivot data function. So instead of 2015, we'll replace it with the cell and then Control C to copy and Control V to paste. The third column is the margin percentage terms. So margin is profits divided by revenues. This is in percentage. So we'll press Control Shift and percent sign to convert the data into a percentage. Now Control C, select the cells and then Control V. So we have the margins for all the years. We'll do a bit of formatting. So select the numbers, go to home, use the separator and then remove the decimals. So this is how we pull the data for the revenues and profits. Now we want to insert a chart in our dashboard. So we'll select the years, the total revenues, press Control, select the total margins. Then go to insert charts. We have the clustered column chart along with the margins. So this is what we need. Press OK. Here is the chart. We'll do a bit of formatting. We need the legends. So instead of total revenues, we can name it just revenues. We don't need the chart title, so we will remove the chart title. To create more space, remove the lines, and that's it. If we want to reduce the gap between the columns or bars, we'll right click on the bar and then go to format data series. Here we have the option of gap width. So we will reduce it to 80%. Enter. Gap width has reduced. So we have the margins and the revenue chart. Now we need to move this chart to our dashboard. So we'll cut this chart, press Ctrl X, and then go to the dashboard and press Ctrl and V. So we have the chart. Now we'll do a bit of more formatting. So click on the chart, go to format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. So this is the chart. Let's see if it works. We select the central region. The chart gets updated. We select the eastern region. Again, the charts updated. The furniture, office supplies, technology. So the chart is working. Now we'll insert a rectangle shape. Place it over the chart. Go to format, shape fill, no fill. Shape outline, want to make it blue, so blue. Again, go to insert shapes, and we want this shape for the chart title. Place it over the rectangular box. Then go to format. We need shape outline. We don't need. We have the shape. Adjust it a bit. Now we want to insert a chart title. So chart title, you can make it static or dynamic. If you want to make it dynamic, it has to be linked to a cell. So we will go to the working tab, and here we'll put the chart title, which is revenues and profit margin. Now go to the dashboard, click on the shape is equal to. We have the dynamic chart title. We'll format it a bit, make it white. We can bold it, and then we can format it or move it the way we like. So I'll move it towards the left. So we have the revenue and the profit chart, which changes or gets updated with the change in the selection. This is it for this session. In the next session, we will discuss how to pull the data for top 5 customers and also create a chart for our dashboard. Thank you.